Hey, I'm Lauren, certified building biologist, wellness interior designer, and healthy home educator. I want to welcome you to the House Holistics podcast, where we explore how healthy buildings create healthy people. I'll be bringing you life-enhancing conversations with some of the brightest minds in the world. Perhaps your full potential is on the other side of a healthier environment. I'm your host, Lauren Reday. Let's go deeper. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the House Holistics podcast. It's been a minute, I know, since I have posted a podcast. I just want to let you know I'm still thinking about the podcast, but it has had to take the back burner for a few months while I put all my brain power into developing this interior design training for the Building Biology Institute. So all the brain cells and all the energy has been going to this coursework. So I've been making slides. I think I've made like 600 slides so far. I mean, it's a lot of slides. It's also a lot of content to cover in 5 days. And that's just my stuff. That's not even including what Clay is bringing to the table. Anyway, however, I just got off a live interview with Sandy, who was put on the Healthy Home Summit. You might also know Sandy from Rugs by Rue. She does natural material rugs made with out toxins. Anyway, awesome company. She just did an interview on her summit, and it was all around a little bit about my story, but also about regenerative design. And I thought it would be interesting to take some of that conversation that we just had over to the podcast and do like a little mini episode. I don't know, maybe we might like these little mini episodes. I also want to know from you all what you might want to hear from me. Like an idea that I've been rolling around is some lecture style podcasts because I enjoy teaching and sharing. So maybe that might be in the works. But tell me, like, do you like the interviews that I do? Do you want to hear me just riff? Do you want to hear more about my story? What do you want to hear? So for now, we're going to just do like a little mini episode, and we're going to talk about the differences between sustainability and regenerative design. Because sustainability is, it gets tossed around a lot, but there's some confusion around it. So what is regenerative design? Well, regenerative design, it's a philosophy. It's a philosophy and it's a stewardship perspective that actually goes above and beyond conventional sustainability practices. Regenerative design has its roots in indigenous ecological wisdom, has its roots in permaculture, which is really cool. Also has its roots in organic farming and ecological engineering. And the aim is to look at sustainability and go, okay, that's good. Like doing less bad for the planet is great. But how can we actually go above and beyond sustainability to actively, and not just passively, restore living systems? And it's really based on this understanding that nature is complex and nature is an interconnected network of relationships. And when we can work with these relationships, we can produce systems. We can create systems that are healthier, that are more resilient, that are productive and actually beneficial. So sometimes the systems of sustainability is not actually productive or beneficial to all of life. And so what I mean by that is sustainability in the past, it aims to minimize negative impact, to reduce waste, or to meet net zero targets. That's good. But regenerative design or regenerative architecture, it's asking a much deeper question of, okay, well, what does good actually look like? and how much good can we actually do. So regenerative design works to replenish resources. It works to revitalize ecosystems and enhance the community that structure or that event or that opportunity is taking place in. So it's working to enhance the well-being of society and the environment rather than simply minimizing damage. Okay, are you tracking with me? Are you seeing the differences? Sustainability is kind of like less bad, and regenerative is a positive impact. It's asking that deeper question of whether the materials that we are using and then the decisions we are making are contributing to not just net zero targets, but net positive targets. Okay, see the difference? And so our current state of construction is operating on a linear model. So if you're familiar, the linear model is it's a take, it's a make, and it's a waste. And construction in North America is operating on this model. So we don't see an issue with taking rare or endangered resources, natural resources, making some sort of product, making some sort of material, and then ignoring all the kind of gray area in between. Maybe ignoring the manufacturing process, maybe ignoring the health conditions of the workers involved with making said product, maybe ignoring the reality that the product now needs to be tossed into the landfill because it is made with mixed use components like plastics, MDF, particle board, press board, laminates, and it actually can't be recycled because it can't be separate. You can't separate all those parts out. And it can't biodegrade either because it's full of chemicals and synthetic materials. Right? So it goes right to the landfill. So opposing that is the circular economy. And the circular economy, if you're familiar with permaculture, I know a lot of my listeners are actively interested in permaculture. This is our goal in construction and design. It's emphasizing reuse, repair, adapt, and recycle. It's considering waste at the very beginning of a project and choosing to keep these materials, actively choosing, in a closed loop system, while also considering the health impacts, the environmental impacts of procurement, of distribution, processing, uh, and all the way to the longevity of the finished building. Okay, so you've got the linear economy model, and then you've got the circular economy model. Two different models, two very different results. And I will say, I just light up when I consider the circular economy because I have had a deep, deep appreciation for waste. Yes, waste since middle school. I remember buying my first t-shirt at a thrift store thinking, I just paid $5 for this t-shirt. I didn't buy a new t-shirt at the mall that would have cost me $30. This is amazing. I also grew up in a household that values waste, that didn't like to waste things. So and that's part of why I shop antiques and secondhand furnishings with clients and in my own house and on projects. Waste is not just waste. It's actually a resource. And if we can reuse this waste, we can repurpose this waste, we can recycle this waste, we can reduce the environmental ecological footprint that our society is obsessed with in terms of overconsumption. So really, like the how of regenerative design, one of the philosophies is the circular systems, closing those loops. Let me put it this way. A lot of you guys have chickens. A lot of people in America, not just America, but all over the world, chickens have taken over by storm. Okay. Well, in permaculture, if somebody has chickens on their yard, a permaculture designer, my husband, would encourage them to work with those chickens in a closed loop system. So the chickens are feeding you eggs, right? And a permaculture designer would say, okay, Well, take those scraps, your veggie scraps, and feed them to your chickens. Okay? They're being fed, they're feeding you. And then maybe what would it look like to move the chicken pen around so that their little claws can till the soil to bring in nutrients to the soil because they are using the restroom. And that soil is also starting to become nutrient dense because of their waste. Waste is never just waste. So they're bringing nutrients, they're bringing minerals, and they're giving back to the soil. So all of a sudden you start to see, wait, I'm eating, they're feeding the soil, everything stays on my property, this closed loop system. Well, closed loop systems mimic nature. Nature has a circular process. And because our current construction industry operates on that linear economy model, the circular loop system of nature is entirely cut out. It's just, it is not even an option because our materials aren't considered that way. They're made to be disposable and go right to the landfill. But materials really should be intentionally designed to be recyclable and biodegradable, not just tossed to the landfill. And when you think about construction, originally, homes were designed to have disassembly in mind. They were designed to be taken apart piece by piece and moved to another project when that building came to the end of its life, but never to the landfill, never just wasted. That's why if you ever gotten into the guts of a 100-plus-year-old home, you will often find 200-plus-year-old wood in that home because they reused their resources. They didn't just say, oh, it's plastic, it's synthetic, it's got to go. No, it's old growth wood. And it's got linseed oil finish on it. Like, let's take that to our next project. So really, we need to be moving beyond doing just less bad in construction and architecture. And we need to move towards positive impact architecture. There was a study conducted in 2004 by the Brookings Institution, and they reported that if we continue with national trends of development by 2030, we will have demolished and rebuilt nearly 1/3 of our entire building stock, a staggering total of 82 billion square feet. What? Like, 1/3 of our building stock? That should make you very sad if you are into historic structures. Yeah. Another stat is that in the US alone, we produce 600 million tons of demo waste from construction every year, which is the largest single stream, single source of waste. That's not great. that's not great. Um, and part of it is because people don't think their choices have consequences. And that's because our culture has moved away from a philosophy of care, of stewardship, of considerate processing. So Ryan is going to be on uh, Alan Todd and Sarah Todd's Conway Architectural Salvage Project next week. They are going to be deconstructing I think it's 100-plus-year-old historic building in Murrells Inlet right on the Marsh Walk. This building needed to come down, and Alan and Sarah did what Alan and Sarah do, and they were able to save the structure by, instead of paying for demolition cost, they were able to bring in their decon team so that they can take every single piece of historic building materials out and down, and then they can in turn sell it to the marketplace at their shop. This is valuable materials. Like, you are not finding these materials at Lowe's. You're just not. And so the fact that they are able to save this building, save these materials, so that they can be reused in other projects is like a heaven sent. We have needed someone like them here in our area for a long time. Because every single time a historic structure gets demoed, I cry. I cry tears. And it's very sad because it's so wasteful. It's just so wasteful. Like, demolition sucks. And I understand we need to demolish some things. I get that. But like the rate that we are demoing things without any qualms is unacceptable. Like, it's not regenerative and it's definitely not even sustainable. Remember, sustainable is doing less bad. Regenerative is positive impact. So we're not even doing less bad when it comes to demolition. So I'm very excited for Ryan and excited for all the volunteers. They will be at that project, I think, for about a month, uh, systematically taking each piece down. So trim, windows, doors, roof. I don't know if there's bricks on site. No, there's a lot of wood. But that will be very cool. So I encourage you to stick around and kind of hear what comes of that. Um, but yeah, I thought it'd be interesting to talk a little bit about the differences between sustainability and regenerative thinking, why I choose to call myself a regenerative interior designer, why my practices are in the regenerative philosophy, and it really is a stewardship perspective, and it comes down to you, like this work starts with yourself before anything else. You are nature. I am nature. We are nature after all. And because life is in this beautiful process of evolving and becoming, we are always evolving, we are always becoming. So that means that our ideas can also evolve and become. But this sort of work, it's a slower approach, but it's got a longer lasting impact. So this isn't just like a technique journey or a mechanical journey, but this is about changing paradigms. And it requires us to be reflective. Yeah. And to really think about our actions and our behaviors. Are we contributing in a positive impact way, or are we just doing less bad? I mean, when you really start to think about it, you have to be honest with yourself. Like, am I just doing less bad in my construction company? Am I just doing less bad in my design firm? Or do I want to positively impact, not just take resources, make something and toss it, but like honor that resource so that it can be reused, honor that resource so that it can be disassembled for another life, maybe when the building's life is over. So it's not really just about like saving the planet, but it's about saving the places that are important to us, because every space is unique. Every space and place is a living organism. It's also about getting off of that conventional linear model and moving towards something that is actually sustainable. Like, sustainability in and of itself is not actually hot take sustainable. And it's definitely a word that has gotten hijacked. So even if somebody was to say sustainable, I'm like, okay, but how? What? Why? Tell me more. It's a popular word. And it's also a very greenwashed word. So it's going to be up to us to determine how are these words getting greenwashed, and what do we need to know about them. At the end of the day, though, it starts with us. It starts with our convictions, starts with our practices. Change doesn't start outside of us. Change starts within. And if we're unwilling to change, if we're unwilling to mimic nature, then why are we touting that? I hope that was helpful. The differences. If you have questions, I encourage you to ask. If you thought this was interesting, let me know. I might be open to doing more mini lectures. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys listening. And if you think about it, would you leave me a review so that other listeners can find this podcast? So, anyway, I'll just leave you with this question to think about. In what ways is your life sustainable? And in what ways is your life regenerative? Maybe you've got some food habits that are regenerative, but your choices in fashion are not even sustainable. Because maybe you're shopping at, I don't know, throwaway plastic stores, which will remain unnamed. So it's worth asking and worth considering this conviction. In what ways is my life unsustainable, sustainable, and actually regenerative? What sort of positive impact am I making when it comes to the work that I do? All right, talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.